Hello, my good people. Eddie Marcus here again this morning. And I want to talk to you on the moral code. The moral code. This is a beautiful day. The sun is out, the sky is blue, the wind is blowing, and I can hear the leaves in the trees talking plain, saying there is a God and it's real. And I'm so glad to be able to stand before you as the chosen one to say that to you. The moral code, ladies and gentlemen. You know, as a baby, we come up on this earth. And we are taught everything we know by the outside, everything on the outside, beginning with our parents. And we spend more time with our parents, and parents get a chance to show more a connection to us than anyone else. And so we end up giving these parents high praise and high authority over our lives. We listen to our parents. We usually are expected to do that because everybody else has been doing the same things. And we do what our parents say. As we grow up, we get a chance to see other situations where people's response to their parents is a little bit different than ours, and we find out that that is spread abroad. But everybody is kind of paying somewhat attention to their parents. And then each of us, regardless of where we are, find that sometimes there come a point in time when our parents, whatever control they've had over us, seems not to have that much power, because there's another power that's outside the mother's power that overrules the mother's power. And usually it might begin, if they are lucky, when we reach a certain age when they say we are adults, or the time when we say, well, we got to stand on our own now because we got our own ideas. You know the story. We've all gone through it, most of us. And then we go through it. And whether it happened while we were still at home with our parents, or whether it happened after we left our home, we found out that there was a power that was above our parents' power, and supposedly it was above our power. It seemed that way. Everybody else had followed a pattern that implied that, and so we are following the same pattern. And that is the government. The government. And that government is bound by what they call the Constitution, that puts a lid on it. The limits that let you know where it stops. It's not going beyond this. And they usually want to qualify that by putting a Supreme Court up there to protect all of our interests. And for those of us who've lived long enough to have some observation, we've recognized that all of those areas in which we had put so much trust in individuals in these positions to protect the interests of the people, we find that there's fallacy everywhere, at every level, in relationships, that everything is concocted to be something that is what it is. Pain and suffering and all of the crime and violence, all of the stuff that exists in the world today. That is what we find. But then, let's look back at it. If there was a parent's authority over the people, over the kids, and then there was an authority over the parents, and as the kids became older, they began to become aware and familiar with the fact that, yes, there's a power that's overgrown folks, and that's government. Government. And it didn't matter necessarily what the parents were saying when it interfered with the laws of government. Your parents had to acquiesce, sit down, and let government take over. Now, there's something else that you haven't been told about, ladies and gentlemen, and that's the moral code, which gives you the moral authority. And the moral authority has over government the same authority that government have over the people, as the people have over their children. The moral authority, as far as we know, is the highest code. It is the highest authority on life. When the kids need the discipline of the parents, or the parents need the discipline of the government, when it does not do what it's supposed to do as designed, then it is under the authority of the moral code. Take a step back. The government reflects where the people are. Let's say that again. The government reflects where the people are. And so when the government does not give an example or reflect what it was designed to reflect through the people, then it means that the government is not doing and the people are not representing. And so everything is downhill. Everything is a loss. So what am I here to say to you today? I'm here to say to you today something that is so true, that there will be a few of you that will believe it. There will be a number of you who will resist it, just as those people who watch Donald Trump lie still resist the fact that he's a liar. You will resist this truth. Let me tell you what it is. I've said it before, but I want to say it so you can understand it. There is a God. God is a spirit. And God is not people per se. God created people. People are a reflection, an expression of God, but they are not God in that sense. But that God was such a wonderful God that God made this whole earth so that every living creature or anything that benefits from what is on the earth can benefit from it. That includes human beings. The number one thing that they benefit from, that is common amongst all of them, is survival. You begin by talking about food, clothing, and a house. But then after you can get that, you find out it's education and healthcare and transportation is just as important. And then infrastructure. Well, you found that out earlier because you've been doing it all along. But then as you do it, and when you're doing it the right way, you find out that all the things that are created by the hands of man, any of you might at one point in time want to have a need or want or a desire to exercise usage thereof. And this magnificent thing is that this creator that made you made it in such a way that every human being that comes on the face of this earth comes with a gift, come with the ability to participate in the process of creating, putting your hands to the plow in one form or fashion. But your particular fashion gives you the greatest joy in whatever you do. It brings it back to you in happiness, thrills. And as you're doing your thing, all of the individuals doing their thing, using the free resources that God has given you, what you actually do is create all of the things that have been created, including the spaceships, including the submarine, and including all the things that you do. And this is just the beginning, even the artificial intelligence. All of that knowledge comes from God through the instrumentation of people using their hands and with free stuff for the purpose that every human being can benefit from what is being used. And it's all free. It's a gift from God that allowed you to engage yourself. And every individual has access, no limitations. They live in peace, they're prosperous, they're free, they're happy and joyous, and everybody is living their dreams. There's no pain, there's no suffering, there's no lying, there's no cheating, there's no stealing, there's no terror, there's no hatred, there's no racism, there's no bigotry, there's no terror with guns going killing people in war. None of that stuff exists. Well, see, this is the will being done on earth as it is in heaven. You see, that's what's happening in heaven. There was the time some crooks got up there and tried to mess heaven up. They got kicked out. And so down here, we have an opportunity to determine if we want to live like we are in heaven. And the way that you live like you are in heaven is you got to have a renewing of your mind. Because all of the things that you've been taught since you've been on this earth is conjured right up in here and in here. And it's all about you. Whenever you think you're doing something, even when you think you're perfect and doing everything you think is right, is corrupted. Because you don't even know what righteousness is. You think you do, but all of your righteousness is tied up with a condition set up on the standards of the world as you see it and as you understand it. You don't understand the fact that all of the things I just shared with you was made for you, and all of the pain and suffering that we go through is because you are being denied that which was made for you. The wars and Ukraine, the black and white, they all of the things, rich people, no people, all that stuff. It's all about that. And so the message that I'm telling you is this. When you say that your mind is renewed, it's really an expression of you being born again. That basically means us as a child coming into the world follows the instructions that's given to them by the world. A child that's born again follows the instructions that's given to them by the Spirit. Whether it comes through spiritual guidance, through individuals, or just the spirit of their heart when you're able to, and to that point that you can utilize that. But what you do is you represent. What do you represent? You represent what I just got to share with you, that nobody is homeless, that no one is hungry, that no one is denied health care and education, that no one is denied any of the resources that have been made available to them by the Almighty God, which is invisible, through us. Nobody allows that to happen according to that Spirit, that God. And those that's born again stand up for that. And that's what you do in the world. You don't go along with it. No. You know, right now you got the Republican and the Democratic Party. The Republicans see, well, I don't like the Democrats, but they're in power now, so we got to take it. And the Republicans get it next time, and the Democrats, well, we are not in power now, but we got to take it. Now, God said you don't have to take anything. That's the game that you're being played. That's the lie that have perpetuated your whole existence. You don't have to take any of that. He said, but you're going to die. You're going to die anyway. So what do you die for? You die for what is right. You die for what is God. You die for what is true to you. You born again, you represent a new way of thinking. You represent a new way of acting. And that's that. Now, all of these churches, are they telling you to go out here and make sure that people are not hungry? All these big mega churches you giving thousands of dollars for to plant these seeds, stepping, and God gonna give you a blessing. They'll teach you all the time that God is a selfish MF. And you playing that game. But today you've heard the truth. If you want to go to heaven, the signs are following you. Why? Because you are standing up. You ain't laying down talking about the good life that you got or what other people are doing wrong. No, it's about what you are representing. When you see that there is suffering, it is your duty to prove to the world that you're a child of righteousness, or you ain't putting up with it. It is your duty and responsibility, it's your obligation to yourself to prove it. You want to make sure everybody got housing? Prove it. Stand up and tell the world that you ain't got it. Before you put up with that, they got to take you out. You will die before you sit up here and see people homeless, see people sleeping on the street. When you see people going through the things that they're going through in Oakland, what they're going through in Mississippi, in California, in Alabama, in Texas, you die before. Why? You're a child of God. God might be invisible, God might be a spirit, but right now, you are born again, and God is alive. Where? In you. And if you can't say that, don't be kidding yourself talking about you going to heaven. You ain't got no business in there. Somebody tell you Jesus said that you were forgiven? Yeah, you are forgiven for all that ignorance that you have learned. You are forgiven when you start renewing your mind. And you are forgiven when you're born again. But what does that mean? You ain't following that stuff. Because if you're following that stuff, you're still in the womb. Baby, you better get it together. And I'm talking about changing this world now. So they playing you for a fool. Right now, one of the most evil people that have ever stood up in America since you've been alive is being renowned and called for as an example for the world to follow, especially Americans to follow. They even calling every Republican to come over there and join with them just to destroy the Democrats. But see, that's what they got you thinking. They got you thinking you're fighting the Democrats. No, they're getting you to fight righteousness in a different form. And you, churches and preachers and governors and all you important people, rich people and poor people over there, That's because you don't know any better. And the God that loves you puts me right here before you to tell you what I have told you today and say, if they got to kill me to prove to you that I'm telling you exactly the truth, hey, baby, I'm not hiding. This is the spirit of God's love for the human race. That you accept this and renew your mind, get born again, and represent a new kind of life and not this hell that you're doing every day. Thank you very much.